Well, good afternoon, everyone. Happy Labor Day. It is digital host A.J. Wuest welcoming you back to Before the Four, where I go through 48's top news stories and then some before our 4 p.m. newscast. Wherever you're watching right now, whether that's on Facebook, it's on YouTube, or the 48 Now live stream page, I want to, of course, thank you for watching and spending a little of your Labor Day weekend with me here on Before the Four. Besides watching Before the Four, how are you spending your Labor Day? Now that is our 48 Facebook question of the day, and make sure to stick around until the end of today's Before the Four, because I'm going to shout out some of my favorite comments from you all. But also, feel free to leave a comment right now if you'd like. I can see so if you do right here on this monitor. You can't see it, but it is right here, and I can see all those comments there. But anyway, with all of that out of the way, I think it is just about that time we jump into today's top stories. And of course, starting things off in Decatur, where authorities have identified a man who drowned while at the Riverwalk Marina yesterday. Limestone County Coroner Mike Wuest said 24-year-old Emmanuel Merriweather was the man killed. Wuest said Merriweather was pulled from the water and pronounced dead around 7:30 in the morning yesterday. He also said 2 men reportedly went into the water and only 1 came back up. Decatur police officers responded to the marina around 6:30 in the morning regarding a missing person. Now, this incident remains an ongoing investigation. And also, now in Huntsville, where authorities have now identified a man who was killed in a massive wreck along I-565 Friday night. Officers said 40-year-old Gerardo de Leon was killed in the wreck. 5 other people were injured. 3 people were in critical condition. However, at this time, we are unable to provide an update on their condition. Police said the wreck only involved 1 vehicle and is still being investigated. The wreck happened, of course, on I-565 west near the Research Park Boulevard exit just after 7 p.m. And staying in Huntsville, where 3 were injured in a shooting around Griffith Drive near North Memorial Parkway over the weekend. 48's Daquan Lee with the details of the shooting.
Saturday afternoon, Huntsville police responded to a shooting on Griffith Drive just before 1 p.m. 3 people were hurt and 1 person was taken into custody in the aftermath. I spoke with several people in the neighborhood about the incident, but they all declined going on camera. However, one of those people did show me video of the shooting captured on a home security camera, but they did not allow me to have a copy. That video showed 2 armed men outside a home approaching a man in a truck, and that's when the shots started firing.
In the video shown to me, 2 gentlemen came from right where I'm standing, approaching where my car would be, and started shooting their guns, and it led to a full-fledged shootout. And when those shots started ringing out, the driver in this car hops out with his own assault rifle and starts returning fire, causing the 2 original shooters to run to that home, leaving behind a trail of evidence.
One of the shooters ran into a homeowner's backyard, leaving behind his shoes and an ammunition magazine. Police grabbed those items as evidence. Several neighbors believe one of the 3 people hurt was an innocent bystander who was hit when shots went through their home. However, Huntsville police have not yet confirmed that. We also do not have confirmed details on the extent of the victim's injuries. Still, the residents of Griffith Street remain in shock by the shooting, with several longtime neighbors telling me this kind of violence is not normal here. In Huntsville, Daquan Lee, 48 News, on your side.
Thank you, Daquan. And police have since released further details on the condition of these victims. According to them, only 1 of the 3 remains in the hospital. The other 2 have been released. This incident remains under investigation, but 48's Callie Neese has been on this story all day, speaking with neighbors and working to learn as much as she can about the situation. Stick around for our evening newscast for the latest from Callie coming up. Now a story in case you missed it. In Decatur early Saturday morning, police say an elderly woman was attacked with a hammer. 48's Daquan Lee with more.
It makes me want to throw up, to be honest with you.
Saturday morning, Decatur police were called to respond to an assault that happened at a park on Market Street, within walking distance of Riverside Senior Living. There, Mary Hughes allegedly attacked an elderly woman with a hammer. Johnny Johnson is the property director at Riverside, and he says the victim was a resident of that home who had just begun her morning walk.
We love our residents. We love their families. They're our family. We have each other's backs, and I mean that. I'm not taking that lightly. This is our home.
That message was exemplified by the fact that when the attack happened, Riverside employees chased off the attacker and ultimately helped lead police to the suspect. But what infuriated Johnson the most was Hughes was out on bond from another arrest less than a week ago. Court records show Hughes was accused of stabbing a man she'd been dating several times. Police say she also attacked him with a metal baseball bat. She was arrested last Sunday. Court records also show she posted a $10,000 bond Thursday. Saturday, she was arrested again after the attack near Riverside. Johnson believes those prior charges shouldn't allow someone like that to be out on the streets so easily.
I just don't believe that it had to do with our local people. I think it had to do with our laws. And we've got to change them. We've got to do something and step up and do something about this. We've got to make a change.
At last check, Hughes was still in the Morgan County Jail on a $50,000 bond. In Decatur, DeQuan Lee, 48, on your side.
Thank you, DeQuan. Truly horrific situation there. Now in Somerville, where an elderly man was arrested after authorities say he assaulted his own brother. Somerville police say fire crews were sent to a home yesterday. When they arrived, they found a man suffering from serious injuries. He was immediately taken to the hospital. Investigators later determined an interaction took place between the victim and his brother, 74-year-old George Cannon, who you're currently seeing on screen. Cannon allegedly used a box cutter during the fight. He was arrested and charged with assault. Cannon was taken to the Morgan County Jail on a $2,500 bond. And now in a little bit of lighter news, let me go back here real quick. Lighter news, another story in case you missed it. In Huntsville's Mid-City District, city leaders just approved a $2.6 million contract to help further enhance the Mid-City experience. This includes adding a new public park. The entire project is called The Point, and construction will take place between Stacks and Sanderson Streets. 48's Claudia Peppenhorst earlier today spoke with city engineer Kathy Martin, who says this project will be one of the last remaining public improvements for the Mid-City District.
The city has invested quite a bit of public infrastructure out there as it redevelops, in partnership with our developer. And so, bringing this to fruition really creates the connectivity for all of Mid-City for the pedestrian connectivity. As far as the infrastructure pieces, I think this really does finalize what the vision was for Mid-City.
Well, very cool. Excited to see it when it's finished, that's for sure. Thank you, Claudia. Well, Labor Day is here, and beyond barbecues and a final chance to wear that summer white, what is the day meant to mark? NBC's Zincle Esmimwa simply explains.
Today, work looks a lot different.
How would you describe the workplace now versus, say, what it was like a few decades ago?
A buyer's market versus a seller's market.
Johnny Taylor is president and CEO of the Society of Human Resources Management.
Back in the day, employers, if you will, bought talent. And so it was very much up to the employer to determine the terms and conditions of employment. Fast forward, in a knowledge-based economy, everyone now understands that they sell their talents and their skills to organizations.
The seller, in this case the American worker, is celebrated on Labor Day. Put simply,
Labor Day, in some ways for many decades, was closely tied to labor unions in the United States, right? Especially up to the 1950s, 60s.
At the time, union membership was defined by craft unions or guilds. Think skilled workers, carpenters, plumbers, and electricians.
It's very much not connected to labor unions anymore, which have declined in membership, really since the 1970s. That image of the guy in a sort of steel-toed boots and a hard hat, mostly that doesn't exist.
Today, just over 11% of American workers are in unions, down from a high of over 30% in the 1950s. So how did we all end up getting the day off? Quick history lesson.
Labor Day officially became a national holiday in 1894 in legislation signed by then President Grover Cleveland. Now, there's some dispute over which labor leader first proposed the idea to kind of strike one day a year. And then some state governments over the course of the 1880s started recognizing this as Labor Day.
But the way we work has drastically changed. According to Pew Research Center, today, 14% of employees are fully remote. That's compared to 5.7% who worked from home in 2019 prior to the COVID pandemic. And the length of time spent in careers is changing too. Workers under 34 years old are on average switching careers every 1.3 years. That's compared to older employees switching every 4.9 years.
Why have we seen these changes?
Number one would be demographics. American birth rate's been on a decline.
Translation, fewer workers and more demand.
The second and perhaps most important reason is just the nature of business in a knowledge-based economy.
And then there was COVID. The nation reached a 20-year high quit rate following the pandemic.
The organizations who are going to win are the ones who get the right people and keep those people, keep them motivated. And so employers have to be far more focused now on how we treat our employees.
And that's Labor Day simply explained.
Well, thank you, Zane Clay. And now in state news, and of course, speaking of Labor Day, let's take a look at how people are spending the holiday down in Gulf Shores, which is, of course, Alabama's most popular tourist attraction for Labor Day. WALA's Fox 10 has the story.
Gulf Shores welcoming beachgoers for another Labor Day as we get closer to saying goodbye to summer 2024. The biggest change this year is to the pocket of visitors. This year is the first Labor Day without the tolls. The Foley Beach Express Bridge went toll-free back in May, and beachgoers have been taking full advantage of it. But some were going to be here regardless.
It's a beautiful day out here on Labor Day. The waves look good. You don't always get a chance to do it like this, so I'm out here. Got out here a little bit late, but it's still good.
AAA says this has been a record-breaking year for summer travel. Says while the cost of travel is down 2% nationwide, travel over Labor Day weekend is up 9% compared to last year. But so far, there's been a noticeable difference.
You know what? I was looking out here, and it's surprising that there's so few people out here. On Labor Day, you would expect it to be packed. I've never seen it this quiet out here for Labor Day.
But as temps heat up, there will always be room.
Just come on down here and enjoy yourself.
Stephen Moody, Fox 10 News.
Thank you, Stephen. And of course, we can't talk about Labor Day without talking about this weather outside. Beautiful day out there today, that's for sure. 48 First Alert Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis has a look at your forecast. Brad?
All right, AJ, we've got perfect weather for Labor Day behind me. Just some ground clutter out there showing you a little green on the radar. Down the road, we've got better chances for rain, but it's a real tricky forecast. It's a real fine line. We've got about a 50-mile wide swath of heavy rainfall coming through the state of Alabama, and we're right on the northern edge of it. And model guidance is struggling with where the exact placement's going to be. So that means our forecast is going to be worth checking back on, especially if you have outdoor plans. That'll be Thursday into Friday. For your Labor Day, it's 92 degrees. It's hot, but the humidity a little lower. We have a breeze, and overall, really nice, beautiful blue sky. Grilling forecast here in the Tennessee Valley, about 87 at 6, 85 at 7, and perfect weather at 8 o'clock this evening. Maybe do a little tailgating for the last college football game of the extended weekend. Here's your 10-day forecast. Notice the trend here. Thursday, Friday, rain. It's looking a little warmer. Now, if we get rain all day Thursday, we're going to stay in the upper 60s and low 70s. But right now, that rain may end up just south of us. Again, the model guidance is a little tricky on that. Light rain showers Thursday into Friday, and then check out this weekend ahead. Cooler than normal temperatures on the way. Another taste of fall. Here's that next weather maker coming in Thursday morning. Notice the real fine line between the heavy rain moving into Tuscaloosa during the afternoon If anything, the models are a little bit slower with this, spreading the light to moderate rain across North Alabama during the late morning, early afternoon hours. Notice our temperatures dropping into the 60s fairly quickly during the evening hours. That's rain-cooled air. Our dew points are going to be cooler as well. But notice how narrow this swath of rain is here. That's basically from Scottsboro to Talladega. That's about 87 miles. So that's how tricky and how off the forecast could be. As we get into Friday, the rain begins to taper off. I want to show you the rainfall potential, and I stress potential, anywhere from a ½ inch to 3 inches, and you see 4.8 inches. Probably won't see that in Fort Payne. The big cool down's coming this weekend, and that'll last through early next week. We're talking highs near 80 and overnight lows around 50 degrees. So overall, some really nice weather to look forward to. Hopefully we'll get some of that rain on Thursday, but keep in mind that could slip just to the south, so keep checking back for those updates. Back to you, AJ.
Well, thank you, Brad. Now down in the Wiregrass, where the bees are certainly buzzing. One Fedette homesteader explains why he's proud to be a farmer. WTVY with the story.
You'll learn one thing quickly when visiting Caraway's Boggy Branch Farms.
Bees are good, and we need to encourage more.
Ron and Diane Caraway are reminded that each day on the homestead that's been in their family for 3 generations. While Ron cared for the land as a teenager, he followed his father's footsteps in joining the U.S. Air Force after graduating high school. He managed airplanes for 45 years as an air traffic controller. Now, Ron manages flying insects as a beekeeper, or as he puts it, a bee partner.
They allow me to work alongside with them and to help them in some cases with the case of parasites or diseases, and I'm able to enjoy that fruit that they provide.
Along with raising their handful of hives, the Caraways grow hay and produce. Above all, they want to raise awareness for the bees' essential role in making things grow.
One of the things that I think that we overlook is in the wiregrass of how important both mixing the pollinator with the producer.
Ron hopes some of their fellow farmers take notice.
I would like to see a better collaboration between watermelon growers in the tri-state area and with the pollinators or the bee managers within the area.
And there's a whole community of beekeepers in the area that are happy to help and share their information about bees with first-timers like me.
The Wiregrass Beekeepers Association, and the first order of business is asking, is there anybody that's new? And if there is someone new and they may not have had any experience in beekeeping, everyone rallies around them to help give support and education, and it is very, very receiving.
Diane is happy to help Ron carry on the family's farming legacy.
This has been a lifelong dream for Ron to be out here. I just want it to be able to prosper and grow and be what he wants it to be.
While Ron is proud to see the partnership he's forged with honeybees being savored by their land and their customers.
Knowing that that hard work resulted in a cooperation with nature, cooperation with the bees, and it's something that somebody enjoyed, and it was good tasting to them.
In Fayette, I'm Ryan Duggar, your hometown news leader.
Thank you. Now in a little global news, a nationwide strike now underway in Israel. Following massive demonstrations across the country, protesters are demanding a ceasefire deal after the killings of 6 hostages taken during the October 7th terror attack by Hamas sparked a huge outpouring of grief and anger over the weekend. Over 100 hostages remain in captivity, and there is growing pressure on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to end the war and bring them home. NBC's Rafe Sanchez has the latest.
Overnight, Israel erupting in anguish and outrage. Hundreds of thousands taking to the streets, some clashing with police as they blocked a highway. And the country's largest labor union, representing some 800,000 workers, bringing the economy to a standstill for a day-long general strike. Agony after the bodies of 6 young hostages were recovered from Gaza, including American Hirsch Goldberg Poland. The IDF says they were executed by Hamas in a tunnel beneath the city of Rafah as Israeli troops were closing in. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu condemning what he called horrific, cold-blooded murder and vowing revenge. But many demonstrators say he's partly to blame for blocking a ceasefire deal.
Sign a deal now. This is the last chance.
Among the hostages killed, 40-year-old Carmel Gad. We met her cousin, Gil Dickman.
It's too late for Carmel. Her blood is on your hands, Netanyahu, but you can still save the others.
Netanyahu says it's Hamas that's blocking the deal. 23-year-old Goldberg Poland was kidnapped from a music festival on October 7th, his arm partly severed by a grenade. Every day since, his parents, John and Rachel, campaigning tirelessly for his freedom, taking their case to the Democratic National Convention. And every morning, marking the days since his kidnapping.
I mean, painful is too small of a word of what it's like for any parent.
President Biden called them yesterday, saying he's devastated and outraged, and vowing to bring home the remaining U.S. hostages, of whom only 4 are believed to be alive. Among them, Omer Nutra, an Israeli-American soldier from New York who turned 22 years old in captivity.
Shalom.
John and Rachel's only glimpse of their only son was this hostage video in April. We met them the next day.
How do you stay hopeful?
Well, we say all the time, hope is mandatory. We have been remaining hopeful and optimistic this entire time, willing ourselves to believe that he is alive and that he is coming back.
Well, thank you. Now it's time for the good side. It takes a village to raise a child, but for some kids in Atlanta, part of their village is a nonprofit teaching life skills through bikes. They tell local news live reporter Sawyer Bucky the program makes them feel strong.
You might see the tightening of a screw. These kids see themselves in a new way.
I feel very strong.
I mean, it's almost palpable, the confidence you see coming alive in them as they learn a new skill.
You might see the twist of a tire onto a rim. These kids see possibility.
I like building stuff. I like creating. I like drawing.
We're at the Bearings Bike Shop in Atlanta. They serve kids 6 to 17 years old, teaching them the mechanics of a bike. The kids earn stars for every hour they play, every level they pass.
So we've watched kids grow up.
So behind me is the star board. All the kids can use their stars to buy bikes. They are learning skills that help them build and fix bikes. But the goal is for these kids to actually be learning about themselves. That's what happened to former participant and current employee Warren Zachary.
I'm worth something, I'm valuable, before it was, like I said, I was a kid, but, I never thought I would, be in a position where I would be leading most with people.
They have an after-school program, a job training program, and a mountain biking team.
Looking good. It's bikes here, but then that leads to other things. What else can I do in life? What else can I learn or achieve or put my mind to?
We see bikes. Staff members at Bearings Bike Works see keys to the future. In Atlanta, Sawyer Bussey, Atlanta News First.
Awesome. Now let's head into the stories you're just not going to want to miss in our evening newscast. The latest from bid day today at the University of North Alabama. Jazz in the Park going on tonight at Big Spring Park. Get the details on that super cool event. And finally, the last story you're just not going to want to miss, the latest on the cool and unique Labor Day events going on in the Shoals, including a celebration of coon dogs. These are just a few of the stories you're just not going to want to miss in our evening newscast. Now, as I said earlier, you all know what time it is. Our 48 Facebook question of the day, of course, is how are you spending your Labor Day? Let's pull it up real quick. How are you spending your Labor Day? A lot of you were actually working, and I'm like, yeah, that's how I'm spending my Labor Day as well. That was probably the popular comment today, was that you all are working, and I guess that's the way to spend your Labor Day for sure. But let's see what else you all had to say. Amy Smith said she is crocheting a baby blanket. Very nice, sounds very relaxing. Amy, thank you so much for commenting. Let's see. Jennifer Lamb said, being lazy on the couch right now. Jennifer, as you should. As you should. It's Labor Day after all. But going to swim and have a cookout with a friend soon. Well, Jennifer, I hope you have a great time and eat some burgers for me. There is nothing better than cooking out on Labor Day by the pool. It's the official end to the summer kind of pool vibe before we start heading into fall. So Jennifer, eat a burger for me. That is super awesome. Heather said a pool party. Of course, you have to have a pool party on Labor Day. That's almost a must. You just have to do it. Heather, thank you so much for commenting. Vicky said, on the couch with her dog watching movies. Sounds like an awesome time. Vicky, thank you so much for commenting. And then Chatty Charity said, working, but towards a goal. It's all good. You? Chatty Charity, thank you so much for commenting and radiating those positive vibes. We're all working towards a goal, as we should. So Charity, keep it up. You will reach your goal. Just keep working at it. Thank you so much for commenting. But that just about does it for today's Before the Four. I want to thank you all for sticking around and spending a little bit of your Labor Day afternoon with me here on Before the Four. If you haven't done so already, make sure you download the 48 Digital app, the 48 First Alert Weather app, and of course, the 48 Sports Zone app. Turn on those push notifications and never miss a breaking story. But with that said, I want to thank you for watching. You all have a great night.